It's time to make our three-column layout. This is the finished version example. And notice that each one of these articles takes up 1/3 of the parent container. So let's go back and look at our working page. Let's go ahead and set each one of our articles to a 1/3 size. We'll do a simple math and it'll be 33%. So we'll come over here. After our rule for the navigation, we're going to say inside our features ID, each article, curly braces, should get a width of 1/3, which is 33%. Let's save that. Before we view it, let's look at our code a little bit just to confirm that. Here's our parent container of features with the ID. There's one article, two article, and three articles. Each one will take up 1/3 of the parent container width. So we'll come back over here and we'll refresh this. And so we did get 1/3, but they're still stacked vertically because they're in a block element. So what we can do is we can set our display to inline block to let them move across the page horizontally. So let's go to our code and go back to our new rule inside the media query. We're coding this inside our media query. There's our at media and the min width of 830 pixels we've been building upon. So where our feature area is with the features ID and each article's at 1/3, now we can get them to display inline dash block so they'll space out horizontally. Let's save and look at that. And it's not neat looking yet, but it's better. You notice when we do the viewport, there's our single column layout for mobile. There's our three column layout for our wide viewport. See how they're misaligned? Let's go ahead and do a vertical align top on these so they all line up at the same area. And top. Let's save that and check it. Alright, so now they're vertically aligned nicely. They're too close together though. You notice that they're 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. Let's take them down a little bit less than 1/3 and then add some padding into each side. So let's take them down to about 29% of the parent container for each of the articles. So let's take this down to 29%. Save that. They didn't really space out too much. Let's add the padding to make them space out. And we're going to add 2% padding on each side. That's save our code. And then so now it looks really nice. So now we have our three column horizontal layout, and we did that by dividing the parent container into thirds using an inline block display to space these out horizontally. Then we reduced the spacing a little bit from the thirds from 33% to 29% so we could add 2% padding on each side. So there's 2% there, 2% there, 2% there, 2% there, 2% there, and 2% there. And let's check that just to make sure our viewport's working. That's pretty decent. Let's add a little bit more space between the banner and the articles in the wide viewport. It looks okay narrow, but let's go back in and add some padding to the actual ID of features. So I'm going to do that before the features article. We're still inside of our media query. ID features. Put some curly braces in and write a new declaration of padding. "40 pixels for the top and bottom padding, and 20 pixels for the left and right padding." Save that, refresh it. Notice it got just a little bit bigger, but when we narrow the browser or narrow the viewport, we don't have so much padding. So there is our 3-column layout. We accomplished that by dividing each article into 1/3 of the parent space and doing a display of inline block to get the horizontal layout. Then we added a little bit of padding in here to make the layout look nice. And that's how you use a viewport with the media query to create 2 different layouts for the same code base on a web page, depending on what type of device you're viewing it on.